You like the new Beyonce, Jerome?
I love it. Big fan.
You hooting and hollering over there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. Whoop.
Hey!
There it is! Beyonce got us to 100,000.
Thank you for subscribing, Beyonce.
Thank you,
listened to your album.
Beyonce.
Thank you, Beyonce.
Good morning, sweet world, and welcome to the No Dunks podcast on the Athletic Network. It's Tuesday, April 2nd, 2024. I'm J.E. Skeets here in the Classic Factory, and alongside me, it's the bearded one, my top shot hot boy, Trae Kirby.
Hey-o.
Hey, yo! And last but not least, over yonder, making the magic happen, super producer JD.
Hello.
There he is. Here we are. Shout out to the stream team. Shout out specifically to Beyonce. Achievement unlocked yesterday. We finally hit 100,000 YouTube subscribers. Yeah, felt oh so good. We jumped in the yard to react to it live there with Jerome. And huge shout out to Jerome, our guy, who joined No Dunks, I guess, in October of 2022 with the plan to help us create more short content, help build up the subscriber base. And he's done that, and we've done that. So thank you to everybody that has subscribed and shared the show. And we love our podcast listeners as well. 5-star ratings and reviews.
Yes, we very much love you as well. But today we're saying thank you to the 100K, and here's to the next 900K.
Yeah, that's right. So now we have to celebrate 1 million.
We're celebrating 0 things in between then. Uh-oh.
Yep. Gotta aim high, JD. That's the plan here.
Oh, I agree 100%, but I don't know. Maybe 500.
Okay,
500 feels good.
Half a mil.
Half a mil, yeah.
All right. On today's show, we'll play fill in the blank. We got to talk about the LSU-Iowa game. I think we can save that to the end. Yep. There's a little tie-in with Tweet of the Night. We had some NBA games on last night. I'm not sure anybody watched them, but we did, so let's break down a few of them. Devin Booker topped 50 for the third game in a row against the Pelicans. He became the first player since Wilt Chamberlain to score at least 50 points in 3 consecutive games against the same opponent. Weird.
Very weird.
But he did it again there against Nolan's big game with the Suns trying to catch the Pelicans in the standings, but he was like on fire from the start of this game, maintained it throughout, and it was sort of a dominant victory.
Yeah, Devin Booker, one of the NBA's petty kings. He was on JJ Redick's podcast. JJ said, I waited until I was a few years into the league and I started winning to talk trash. And Devin Booker said, I've been talking trash as soon as somebody talks trash to me. Starting as a rookie. Back when the team wasn't very good. Now they're good. Apparently Zion Williamson hit a 360 against the Suns in New Orleans, December of 2022. And since then, 3 straight 50-point games for Booker, 58, 52, 52. And like you're saying, this one came pretty quickly. 46 first quarter points for the Suns. Booker had 24 of those. New Orleans tried everything, man. They tried a bunch of different defenders. Yep. They tried a bunch of different schemes, whether it be dropping, switching, zones, doubles. It didn't matter. There was some pretty solid screening, I thought, from Phoenix to actually get Booker some looks. But if he saw a sliver of space on anywhere in the half court, he was getting there and either getting to the rim for a layup or rising up for a pretty sweet jumper. He also got off the ball pretty quickly, I thought, when necessary. Finished with 9 assists, and that's not including, the secondary assists where he's finding a guy, bing, 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 getting a great look. Impressive stuff from Booker. And this is why when you watch the Suns, you're like, man, the Suns' best game can beat literally anybody, but then they did not have a great fourth quarter, right? Yeah. They still had the question marks there. But Booker is just a lights-out scorer, and when he gets it going, it doesn't really matter who ends up guarding him, because he had 24 in that first quarter. A lot of those were on Herb Jones, but then eventually Herb got the majority of the assignment. Dyson Daniels took him too. And at that point, Booker was just able to shoot over those guys, no problems.
Booker's first 24 points came on just 10 shots there in that first quarter. 8 of 10 from the floor, 5 of 7 from deep. He was 3 of 3 at the line, and he had 4 assists. Again, this was all in the first 12 minutes of the game. And it had me thinking, because we've talked about it before, first quarter Booker. That guy can get it going in a hurry. And I looked it up. Who are your first quarter killers? Who are they in this league? I have a list of 5 looking back over the last 3 seasons.
First quarter killers.
I'm calling them first quarter killers, okay? Luka Doncic, that guy is a killer in the first quarter. He leads basically the league. He's a killer for the entire game.
He's leading the league in scoring, bro.
Yeah, but over the last 3 years, he's led the first quarter in scoring.
Okay.
By a significant margin, actually. Like a pretty good little clip when you're looking at per quarter there in the first. So, Luka, it wouldn't surprise you that Joel Embiid is also a first quarter killer when healthy. Same goes for Knicks power forward Julius Randle when healthy. Again, I'm looking over the last 2 or 3 years here. Luka, Embiid, Julius Randle, SGA, you could always pencil him in for like 9 or 10 points in a first quarter. More times than not over the last 3 years. And then it's Booker. He rounds out the list. Anthony Davis has been pretty good. Kevin Durant. These are obviously great scorers throughout the entire game. But to set the tone, I have those 5 guys as my first quarter killers. Luka, Embiid, Julius Randle, SGA, and Devin Booker. Booker has scored over 500 first quarter points in just 61 games. He's played less games than a lot of these guys outside of Embiid and Randle. So incredible stuff. Durant even said it was like deja vu. As it was happening, I couldn't believe he was doing it again against the Pelicans because he's seen this story a couple times.
Yeah, Booker can just get incredibly hot, and he hates getting double teamed.
He does.
So even when you do double team him, it's great stuff. But I would have to add Jaylen Brown. I feel like he's a first quarter cooker.
Yeah, he wasn't
killer as well.
Yeah, he wasn't popping up on my list there when I was looking at NBA.com.
Well,
I'm sure
just
he's
took
there.
the top scorers in the league.
Well, I'm just telling you what the stats say from the first quarter,
I'm just
man.
messing with you, man. We got to go percentage of points scored in the first quarter. That would give you the true answer. Because then I bet you Jaylen Brown is pretty high on the list.
Interesting, because he has a lower overall.
They get him the ball a ton in the first quarter.
Yeah,
that's all.
That's true.
That's literally all I can think about. How dare you leave Jaylen Brown off this list? Devin Booker, man, he's a killer in all quarters. You know who was a killer in this one as well? Zion Williamson. In the second half in particular, finished with 30. He had 20 in the second half, 7 of 12 field goals. In the last couple of quarters there, and he was just very aggressive, getting to the hoop, and the Suns were trying to give this one away, but Booker came through in the clutch as well. I was also kind of impressed with what Dyson Daniels did. His second game back here, 9 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals in 25 minutes. Great to see him getting the assignment there. Jose Alvarado missing some time right now, so a perfect place for Daniels to slot in. I'm a little curious to see if he's actually going to be able to play when it comes playoff time, because he does give the Pelicans really solid defense, but he's a career 30% three-point shooter, so
Teams could leave him.
Those guys get played off the court occasionally.
That's true. Well, let's stick with the killer theme. Vit Krejci.
No!
Killing your Bulls. He set a career high 18 points, 6 threes for Krejci. Some of you are probably going, who the hell are you talking about? Vit Krejci from the Czech Republic. Not a lot of Czech guys ever played in the league. I think he's the 5th. But he was awesome. And, we saw him for the College Park Skyhawks when we were calling a few games and having a blast. We saw him dominate there, the G League level. Now he's getting a chance there with no Trae Young. He's been playing really well for Atlanta alongside DeJounte Murray. He's a 6'8", sort of point guard, but he can obviously shoot as well. And the Hawks beat your Bulls 113-101 in a matchup between potentially, play-in opponents here. It's looking like it's going to be Hawks Bulls. We just don't know who's going to be the home team because Atlanta right on the heels of Chicago.
Yeah, there's a chance either of these teams could get to 8th, but
yeah,
this is the 9-10 matchup, absolutely. The Bulls basically could have clinched 9th, I think, last night because they had the tiebreaker against the Hawks.
Yep.
In Bulls-Hawks games that I have attended, they're 2-0. Games that I haven't, the Hawks are 1-0. So, I mean, was it me or was it Vit? I don't know. You say he's from the Czech Republic. For me, he will always be from the College Park Skyhawks. Guaranteed, this podcast here has talked about Vit Krejci more than every other podcast that exists combined.
Yeah.
We've mentioned him like 4 times.
Yeah.
And he was friggin' hot last night.
He was on fire.
Going crazy on the Bulls. I hated to see it, but the Bulls are a team that packs the paint to take away shots at the rim. They allow the fewest shots at the rim in the league this season. But when you pack the paint, it could leave you open to three-point shooting. The Bulls allow the most three-point attempts in the league this season. On the flip side, they don't shoot it very well. I saw Will Gottlieb over at All Chicago post this. In wins, the Bulls shoot 38% from deep. Opponents shoot 32% from deep. In losses, the Bulls shoot 34% and opponents shoot 40%.
Yeah.
The Bulls are just not able to flip the math. So when the Hawks go out and hit 19 threes to the Bulls 7, it's very tough for Chicago to keep up. And, the Hawks, they were getting some great looks. I think they went 7 for 10 on corner threes, which were generally pretty wide open. But they also shot 70% on pull-up threes last night. And those were some tough ones. Like Bogdanovic hit a 30-footer with a hand in his face that was pretty nasty. So, yeah, I mean, the math wasn't in the Bulls' favor. This is a tough loss for them, but, I mean, they're also playing each other regardless.
Okay, so you got to be in attendance, it sounds like. So you want to almost hope that the Hawks pass the Bulls.
It could be okay.
For the 9th spot, so then you could go see that game here in Atlanta and cheer on your Chicago Bulls. And then the other part, it sounds like, is just pray that they miss that night. From deep, at least.
Yeah.
That's sort of what it comes down to.
Yeah, and I mean, and it's kind of like how the Hawks have been playing.
Yeah.
Since Trae Young went out there just trying to spam the threes, especially their role players, because Murray kind of likes to get into the mid-range, though he did have some pretty good three-point shooting games. Bogdan Bogdanovic has also been really solid lately. In his last 5 games, 24 points per game, 6 rebounds, 5 assists. He's shooting 53 from the field, 46 from 3, 91 at the line. He's making like 3 threes a game. This guy's a killer.
Yeah.
He's really, really good.
And he's all pissed off with Quin Snyder.
Yeah.
JD, I think you have the clip. These two, like, exchanging words, like, legit exchanging words on the sidelines last night. Like, look at, Bogey's going to step to Quin Snyder here.
Me?
You're talking to me? You want a piece of me? And, Quinn walks away, but then comes back, like, hey, let's dap it up. And Lauren Williams of the AJC asked Bogey after the game, what's going on here? Is everything all right? Quote, this is Bogdanovic, we are doing this almost every other minute, or we are verbally fighting all the time, which is normal. That means we both care, and everyone cares. He went on to say it's good for them to get this out instead of holding it in. He also talked a little bit like, maybe you don't want this coming out on the sidelines during a game, but... there's some passion there from Bogey and I guess Quinn, and it's really much of nothing. But, I mean, if you just saw that clip going around, you're like, oh, my God.
Yeah, you would think they're furious with each other. Meanwhile, the Hawks are playing like some of their best basketball of the season. They won 5 out of the last 6. They obviously beat the Celtics twice last week. The other wins are against pretty cupcake kind of schedule.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, I don't really think this is going to be a big deal. It's not like they're going to send Bogdan Bogdanovic home. They need him to play going into this play-in tournament.
I like it. He's all fired up. We see that sort of emotion from him in international games.
Yeah.
He needs that. Maybe Quinn's like pushing the right buttons here or something. And I will say, over this sort of run, good play from the Hawks here. Clint Capella just looks like the old Clint Capella, where he's like, he can have an impact on the game. I checked here. Since the start of March, he's averaging 13 and 11. Okay. He had 15 and 11 last night, so even more scoring there. But 5 offensive rebounds a game, 2 assists, flirting with almost a steal and about a block and a half. Capella just looks like, if you watched Hawks games early on like I did, he was lollygagging, man. Like you did, like for a guy his size, I forgot he was out there half the time, and it was a lot of talk about, it should be more Okongwu, it should be more this, whatever. But he's played really well. I don't know, he's a little invigorated. Maybe Quin Snyder's yelling at him too. I don't know what's going on. But he actually is helping them, especially on the glass and a little defense. And yeah, Vit in there and the ball moves a little. I don't know. It's a different team than when Trae Young has it, obviously, and the ball's in his hands a majority of the time, and he's an incredible player. But Vit, he of course just moves the ball more because he's not a superstar like Trae Young, and I think it's a little infectious. I feel this is like the best the Hawks have looked for a good chunk of this season here.
Yeah, they're doing all right. 29 assists last night on 41 makes. The ball absolutely moves right now. They're like getting good performances out of Wesley Matthews regularly. I'm seeing Garrison Matthews do sidestep threes deep from the corner. It's Hawks season.
Oh boy. They're ready for the play-in, baby.
They are ready.
Let's move over quickly to Jaren Jackson Jr., who scored 40 as the Grizzlies, they hung on to beat the Pistons 110-108. Memphis was down 57-44 at halftime. I was getting concerned that the Pistons were going to win, but Triple J said, I got you here. He scored 21 there in the third quarter. Like I said, finished with 40, just a monster game from him. And this Grizzlies win over the Pistons does 2 things for me. One, like I said, keeps my Wizards a game up on Tass's Pistons in the Nut Dust Bowl standings. And then secondly, it keeps my Raptors a game and a half worse than the Grizzlies in the old tankathon there. Because yes, anything can happen in the NBA draft lottery, but the Raptors would prefer to be in the 6th slot ahead of Memphis right now in the 7th slot, which helps their chances of keeping the pick. It's top 6 protected, is what I'm getting at here. Now, am I also reading this morning? Executives say worst draft of all time coming up. Yes, I've read that. But also, I never believe that. It's like, that means there'll probably be like 3 future Hall of Famers in this frickin' draft. But anyway, Grizzlies, Big win over Detroit for me. I was, again,
Huge win.
like a sicko, had this one on the phone while we're watching some other games in college hoops. What's going on here? Everybody needs a Nut Dust Bowl standings.
Oh, that's right.
Right? At the end of the year for these crappy teams.
Zach Edey, bring him home.
Yeah. Other games, Celtics beat the Hornets pretty comfortably. Tyrese Halliburton, huge game. Pacers beat the Nets. And the Magic escaped with a 1-point win over the Blazers. Any thoughts on any of those?
I did watch the last 15 seconds of
Okay.
Magic Trailblazers. I wanted to see what happened on the last possession for Portland. Scoot over-penetrated. Got to take a mid-range jumper there. People don't like to settle for jumpers, but that's exactly the reason they settle for jumpers, because you get a better look. I think Jalen Suggs was guarding him.
Yep.
He over-penetrated. Scoot basically fell down in the lane, and just the ball squirted out to DeAndre Ayton. He had to take a bit of a heave from, 14 feet, a 14-foot heave. Is that a real thing? I don't know. He had a look. He missed it, but... take the pull-up jumper, though. Obviously, Scoop probably doesn't have a lot of confidence in it.
He wasn't a minus 58 last night.
Much better.
So that's
much
good
better.
for him and the Blazers. So, yeah, the Magic win, that keeps them in the 5th slot. They're a half game back in the Knicks. The Pacers win, that keeps them in the 6th slot. They're a game and a half back in the Magic. So, those are big wins. They weren't maybe, at least the Magic one wasn't comfortable by any means and almost looked like they could have lost that game. But they got it done in the end. All right, those are last night's games. Let's get away from them. They weren't all that crazy. On the weekend, that's right. NBA Crazy Stats on Twitter, they had a tweet that caught me by surprise. They shared this news that Aaron Gordon became the 32nd player to reach 1,000 career dunks. Now, this data only goes back to the 96, 97, sort of this play-by-play data. So we can only sort of follow it really since then. But I was like, okay, Aaron Gordon, 32nd player. I was like, who are the top 10 players for most prolific dunkers?
Okay.
Regular season. And I was like, you know what? We got to make this a segment. We got to make this some trivia for UTK. We're no dunks, but we love dunks. Isn't it ironic? So I want to see if you can name the 10 players with over 1,500 regular season dunks. I'm going to tell you right now, 5 of them are active players.
Okay.
5 are not. So have a go, and I'll cross them off as you correctly, hopefully, call them here. The leader, by the way, has 2,950 dunks. No longer playing.
No longer playing.
Yeah.
All right, let's start with active guys. I got to go LeBron James.
LeBron James, 4th on the list.
Yeah.
Regular season dunks, over 2,100.
Long career.
Long career.
2,100 dunks, 21 seasons.
Yeah, there you go.
100 a year. That's like more than one a game, because he's not playing every single game. How about Kevin Durant?
Kevin Durant is not in the top 10.
Okay.
I believe he's on this list, this above Aaron Gordon, but I couldn't hit you here with hey, can you give me the 31 guys above Aaron Gordon? Like, that's we don't have all day.
Giannis,
number 6 on the list already.
Wow.
He's nearing 2,000 dunks regular season. I mean, you include the playoffs, I'm sure he's over that. But that's interesting. To me, that's how many more years does this guy have left in him? How many more dunks does he have left in him? He could be, is all I'm saying, at the end of his career, maybe the all-time dunk leader. I think it's in play.
definitely possible.
It's in play.
Anthony Davis?
Woo, nice pull. He's 8th on the list with over 1,700 regular season dunks. So you got LeBron, Giannis, AD. You got 2 more active players. One, I say active very loosely, but he's on a roster and he's played minutes this year.
Active very loosely and never plays, but dunked a ton?
Yeah.
That's a weird.
Yeah.
That's an unusual hint to me. Jeff Green.
No.
He's got a lot of great dunks, though.
He's got a lot of great dunks.
It feels like he's got at least 3,000 dunks with how long he's been playing. Who else? I'm gonna go away from that. Embiid, I doubt it.
No.
Too many injuries.
Yep.
Wow. Now we're getting tough. Kawhi, I think, has been out too much.
Nope.
Yep.
Paul
George?
No. You got to get into. You got to start thinking of the big men here. Some centers.
Gobert?
Gobert is 5th.
Yeah.
He's got over 2,000 dunks. He's sandwiched between LeBron and Giannis when you're looking at regular season dunks.
So I'm looking for the guy who doesn't play a ton.
You've named every active guy except this one guy who's on a roster, doesn't play a ton, but has over 2,400 regular season dunks. He's got a ton, and he's a center.
That's a big number of dunks.
I mean, he played for a team that was basically had a moniker about.
DeAndre Jordan.
There you go.
Great call. Good hit. NBA
Lob
champion.
City, baby. DeAndre Jordan. Okay, so now you have 5 guys that are all retired.
5 guys, burger and fries.
And
all retired.
I'm going to tell you.
O'Neal.
Yes.
Yes.
Number
one?
two. Number 2.
2,626
regular season dunks for Shaq. Number 1, this guy, he probably still wants to play in the NBA. Thinks he still could.
Oh, Dwight Howard.
Dwight Howard.
Yeah. That guy dunked a lot.
2,950 dunks. So he's 1,000 up on Giannis, basically. Regular season.
Okay.
So
that's a lot.
It's a lot of dunks. A lot of dunks. So Dwight 1, Shaq 2, DeAndre Jordan 3, LeBron 4, Rudy 5, Giannis 6, AD 8th. 3 guys to fill out the top 10. Obviously, none of them still playing. All gettable. 2 very gettable. 1 is the 10th guy's tough.
Are we talking all bigs here?
We're talking 1 center, 1 power forward, and 1 small forward, really.
Okay.
Yeah.
So center, how about Ben Wallace?
No, that's
not a lot of offense, but probably 98% dunks.
You got to think more in the sort of in the mold of a DeAndre Jordan, a Rudy Gobert.
Tyson Chandler?
There you go. Number 7.
Long career.
Tyson Chandler.
Started as a 18-year-old back in the day.
Now it gets fun because now we have a power forward and basically a small forward. You know, they're forwards. Look, they both probably have great mixtapes.
Cool.
It's amazing.
Amari Stoudemire?
Number 9.
Yeah. Underrated, man.
Yeah.
Amari Stoudemire is like the guy that I think of the most who's retired. I'm like, man, he was the bomb. People don't know.
That's right.
People don't know about Amari Stoudemire.
Okay.
Now we're looking for a forward.
I thought you would
Small forward Sean Marion?
No, I think he's very close.
Yeah.
He's very close. I thought you would get Amari. I thought this would be the most difficult name. He recently retired not too long ago. I just don't think you think of him as a prolific dunker, though he was robbed probably in a dunk contest.
Andre Iguodala?
Boom!
Great call. Good hit.
Andre Iguodala, 10th all time in total dunks that's a little shocking.
Yeah.
That's a lot of dunks, man. 1,500 plus.
Yeah, I guess he dunked a lot in the early days
Had
with
to
the Philadelphia 76ers. Was Iguodala and Amari in the same dunk contest? It might have been.
Ooh.
I don't remember exactly.
Just by the way, you were really close on a couple of your picks. Sean Marion, 11th. Kevin Durant, 12th. Clint Capella, 13th. I thought you might say JaVale McGee. He was 14th. And then your guy, Andre Drummond.
Oh,
15th.
the
Yeah.
big penguin.
That was a top 15.
Nice one.
Hey, good job. That was pretty impressive. The most prolific dunkers. 10 guys with over 1,500 regular season dunks. Dwight, Shaq, DeAndre Jordan, LeBron, Rudy, Giannis, Tyson Chandler, Anthony Davis, Amari Stoudemire, and Andre Iguodala. Man,
That's the weirdest
that's
one,
a weird one. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
a hell of a lot of dunks. I think you're right. I got to do a deep dive. How many of those came in the first half of his career? Because it feels like, like Warriors days. I mean, I know he threw down every once in a while, but how many in a year was he throwing down?
That's a great
right?
question.
We'll have to look that up during the break. And we're going to take one right now, and it's a quick one. And when we come back, some fill-in-the-blank fun. Don't go anywhere.
Whoa! Mac is back! You ever wish you could have it both ways? I do. Like a 0-calorie cheeseburger or staying up late but not feeling exhausted in the morning. Guys tend to think looking sharp means starchy Oxfords and stiff chinos, rather than effortless comfort. But you can have it both ways with Mack Weldon. Mack Weldon makes timeless apparel with modern performance fabrics for guys who want to look and feel sharp without sacrificing comfort. From their light as air underwear to innovative anti-odor tees and versatile yet comfortable pants, Mack Weldon has a full range of clothes that never go out of style. I've got some polos, some tees, some undies, and I love them. Simple, soft, stylish. In fact, I'm wearing Mack Weldon right now. Mack Weldon clothes are designed to fit your style and the demands of modern life. They look like regular clothes, but feel like the latest in modern comfort. If you told me my silver PK polo was made from 100% cotton, I would 100% believe you. But those antimicrobial silver threads keep me feeling fresher longer. Get timeless looks with modern comfort from Mack Weldon. Go to MackWeldon.com and get 20% off your first order with promo code NODUNKS. That's MackWeldon.com, promo code NODUNKS.
All right, back with no dunks, but we're talking dunks. We looked it up. Iguodala did have a ton of dunks earlier in his career with the Sixers. How many are we talking here?
959 dunks during his 8 seasons with the Philadelphia 76ers. So we almost got to 1,000 right there. I think he topped out one season, 82 games, 153 dunks. That's like 2 dunks a game.
Damn.
Iguodala.
And again, I mean, I guess he was usually high in steals and stuff like that. He must have been having a lot of these in the fast break, is my point.
Yeah, must have.
Yeah, wow, okay.
Impressive.
There you go. Let's get into fill in the blank. Let's stick with the Sixers because 76ers superstar Joel Embiid is nearing a return from a knee injury. Embiid has been sidelined since January 30th with the left meniscus injury that required surgery. But Woj reporting that the reigning MVP, he's expected to join the Sixers lineup this week. Shams added that Embiid could suit up as early as tonight against the Thunder. I don't know if we have an update on that. I haven't seen it like official that Embiid is playing tonight against OKC, but it's coming this week. So TK, fill in the blank here. The thing you're most excited about Joel Embiid's return is blank.
Well, I'll fill in the blank in a second here, but most importantly, I'm excited to just see Joel Embiid back in action. We'll see what he looks like. He was scoring more than a point per minute before he went out of the lineup for the Philadelphia 76ers, leading the league in scoring, might have won a second MVP consecutively. But what's he going to look like coming back? I think that's a huge question. With a meniscus injury, he obviously hasn't really been able to be on his feet doing conditioning. So depending on when he gets back, he'll have, 3 or 4 games. And I think it's going to basically be conditioning and getting in shape for the playoffs. Not to mention the Sixers are a different team than when Embiid went out. We haven't seen DeAnthony Melton for a long time, but Kyle Lowry's in the mix.
Yeah.
Cam Payne is in the mix. Buddy Hield is in the mix. Batum, he's in and out. We'll see if he's able to stay on the court alongside Embiid. So I think it'll be interesting to see how he looks. And, of course, how he looks in the context of the Sixers now, because they're a different team for the past month and a half, basically. As for my filling in the blank, the thing I'm most excited about Joel Embiid's return is that it really spices up the East bracket. Having an MVP in the bottom half, Philadelphia, they could get to the 6th seed. It's possible. They probably would play the Cavs or Knicks then. That's interesting.
Yep.
More than likely, they're going to get the 7th or 8th seed coming out of the play-in tournament, which means Bucks or Celtics in round 1.
Yeah.
That's pretty exciting because Eastern Conference round 1 has been a dud for quite some time here, Skeets. The last 7-game first-round Eastern Conference series was in 2018.
Yeah.
That was Celtics over Bucks, Cavs over Pacers way back when. That was LeBron on the Cavs. That was Victor Oladipo hooping for the Pacers. That was us on NBA TV. It's been a long time.
Jeez.
Since then, only 2 series have even gone to 6 games in the Eastern Conference. The Sixers beat the Raptors in 2022. The Sixers had a 3-0 lead.
Yeah, it wasn't really all that competitive.
And then last year was Celtics beat the Hawks in 6 games. The Celtics had a 3-1 lead in that series. Trae Young made a huge shot, and they gave him a little bit of a scare, but Boston was in control the entire time. The first round has basically been like, you're the better team, you're going on.
Yeah.
Except for, the Heat obviously beat the Celtics last year. That was obviously an upset, but we haven't had super competitive Eastern Conference first round series. And I think if you put Embiid, even if he's playing at 90% of what he was beforehand, it makes for an intriguing first round.
It, in theory, makes for a more competitive 1-8, 2-7 matchup if Embiid, like you're saying, is close to full health. Prior to the injury, we go through all his stats. The Sixers were the 3rd best net rating in the league. They were an elite team. He just changes everything about them, offensively and defensively. So, hopefully he comes back tonight, this week, shakes off the rust a little bit here, and then they are going to likely have to make their way in through the play, and I'm with you on that. But probably where they are, we'll have at least 2 chances. Win that 7-8, you're in to take on probably the Bucks. You don't win that, then you got to win that one against either the Hawks or the Bulls, and then you got to go take on the Celtics if you can win that. So, hopefully it just gives us a little juice there. I couldn't believe that going through that, too. I saw Ball tweeting about it. I was like, what? We haven't had really a competitive first-round series in the East since 2018? What? This is crazy. But there's a lot of sweeps. There's a lot of 4-1s, and even those ones that you said went to 6, they weren't really all that competitive.
Yeah.
So it's pretty crazy.
We've had upsets, but not the same as like an extended back and forth between teams.
And then you might say, well, what happened in the West the whole time since 2018? There's like always a 7-game series. There's a lot more 6-game series. There's a lot more competitive series. And that, it actually makes a lot of sense because usually there's such a difference between the elite teams in the Eastern Conference to sort of the more bottom teams or the 2nd tier and 3rd tier teams than there is in the Western Conference, where it sometimes feels like 1 through 8, you could put them in any position. You're like, I don't know. Sort of depends on matchups who can move on. So maybe that's why we get closer series there in the West. All right, next one here. Sticking with the postseason. Simple question. Fill in the blank. The player with the most to gain or lose this postseason is... Who are you going with?
It's got to be Zion Williamson. Year 5, 0 playoff appearances for Zion. I think these numbers are right. He's certainly played 178 games. He's made an all-star team, so I was trying to see who that is active right now has played the most games in the regular season, made an all-star team, and has yet to play in the playoffs. Zion, I believe, is 3rd. Want to take a guess at the other 2 guys?
So you're saying, once again, guys who have played a decent chunk of games and have at least made an all-star, but have never sniffed the postseason.
Yep.
Jesus. That seems...
Well, I'll say one guy sniffed it. And
Sniffed it?
He sniffed it. He sniffed the postseason, but he couldn't get a full whiff.
Oh, so he made the play-in?
There you go. I think so.
LaMelo? No.
LaMelo was on there. I think he's played fewer games, though.
Who else has sniffed it? Oh, man. I don't know. You're going to tell me this one. That's tough.
Oh, no, LaMelo's on there. 184. Maybe I miscounted. But, yeah, LaMelo's on there. Halliburton has played 254 games, yet to play in the playoffs. And then Lauri Markkanen, 403 games.
Oh, wow.
I think is the leader. This was harder to find than I was anticipating. I had to go to StatHead and StatMuse.
I would have never gotten Halliburton because he played in the in-season tournament.
Yeah, exactly right. That's what I'm saying. He's gone for a sniff, but not the full whiff.
Right.
But this is year 5 for Zion. So, I mean, there's a million questions about him. Like, how are teams going to defend him? Is it going to be different? Are they going to just lay off him and say drive? Because that doesn't work in the regular season.
No.
Guy shoots 65%. Is he going to be able to elevate his game when he gets fewer foul calls inside, when teams are challenging him even more so to make jumpers? It's just pretty uncertain exactly what Zion's going to look like in a playoff setting. Not to mention, is he going to be hunted on the defensive end? He's playing great defense right now, playing some of the best defense of his career, looking in shape. Barely sweats out there compared to early in his career when he'd be dripping. You also have the fact that Brandon Ingram is going to be potentially limited going into the playoffs.
Yeah.
It seems like he's probably another week out before we're getting reevaluated with his bone bruise, which means kind of unquestioned. Zion is the main guy for the Pelicans. He's been getting better month by month. Percentages going up, scoring, assists going up, usage percentage going up. He's peaking at the right time, and now he's got to do it in the biggest games of the season. I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, and in the prior biggest games of the season,
not great.
He laid an egg there, going back to the in-season tournament there against the Lakers, right? Where that was maybe one of his worst games even of the season when you're looking at it in totality. So that is a good pick. I had Zion on my list. Was there anyone else in the running for pressure going into the postseason to either gain or lose?
Embiid always has pressure, I do believe. But coming off an injury, I think people will probably, I mean, they won't, but they should be a little bit gentler with this guy coming back to even get back to the playoffs, I think is kind of impressive. I think as a team, Cleveland has a lot to prove. Maybe not necessarily one specific guy, though I guess you got question marks about Donovan Mitchell and honestly Mobley and Allen and Garland, just with the way things went against the Knicks last year when Jared Allen came out of the playoffs and literally said the lights were too bright.
Yeah.
Maybe dim him down a little bit this season. He's going to play the entire postseason wearing goggles. Yeah, he's going to go Antoine Carr mode. I would actually love to see that. I think them as a team has huge question marks. Then we'll see if Towns gets back. I mean, that's a guy that you got question marks as well, and he's sort of in the same position as Embiid coming off an injury if he gets back in time.
And sort of like the Cavs in the East, the Western equivalent is, I guess, sort of the Clippers, right? As a team, not Kawhi. He's proven that he can do it before multiple teams in other conferences. But them with Paul George and James Harden, if we're being honest, they have to they got to win a first round again and move on. And they should be challenging for a championship, whether you believe that or not, if they can stay healthy and all out there. So a lot of pressure on some of these guys and teams. All right, next one here. According to The Athletics, Jovan Buha, the Lakers are likely to pursue another superstar to pair with LeBron and AD in 2024. Quote, I can confirm that from multiple sources, they are going third star hunting this offseason. This is what Buha said in a recent Q&A. He added that Hawks guard Trae Young was the most realistic option, but Austin Reeves would likely have to be included in any sort of big trade for a guy like Trae, and multiple first-round picks, probably, maybe 3, maybe 2, but who knows. Fill in the blank, though. The odds of Trae Young joining the Lakers this offseason is what? Where are you going to put that at?
I'm not a bookmaker, Skeets. 4-1? I don't know. 4-1? Does that sound good?
Sure.
Plus 400?
Yeah.
Because I think it could happen. Just because you look at just the scenarios on both sides. The Hawks are 13-11 without Trae Young this season. They tried trading DeJounte Murray at the trade deadline. Literally no takers. They've got their 25 pick going to the Spurs. They've got their 27 pick going to the Spurs. Both of those are unprotected. In 2026, that one's a swap with the Spurs. We'll see where those two teams are, the Hawks and the Spurs in 2026. Who's going to be better? Literally, that's a great question because Victor Wembanyama by 2026 could be the best player in the league. Yeah. We'll see what happens. Victor Wembanyama could be playing with Trae Young by 2026. Who knows?
That as well.
The Hawks do have the 2024 first coming from the Kings. I think it's protected, but they're likely getting that pick. DeJounte Murray's extension kicks in next season, and the Hawks are already 11th in payroll, behind only the Celtics, the Bucks, and the Heat in the East. That is an expensive team to keep finishing 500, no matter who's on the court, right? Like, when Trae Young and DeJounte Murray both healthy, 500 team. When it's just DeJounte Murray as the main guy, they're a 500 team. How long can you stay there having traded away all of your future? It feels like a move needs to be made. One of these two guys, Trae probably brings back a lot more from teams, whether that be going to the Spurs for everything they traded and that they got in return for DeJounte Murray originally, or this Lakers thing, because they're a little bit better equipped to chase a star this summer, which is what we heard at the trade deadline. They've got access to 3 picks, and then they've got the contracts of Reeves, who's a player with some intrigue around the league, and then Rui Hachimura, Jared Vanderbilt, D'Angelo Russell, salaries that can help, and players that are, decent players as well. You also have to think about what the Lakers look like when LeBron goes to another team, perhaps to play with his son, or finally retires. He just told us he's not playing another 21 seasons.
No.
So it will be coming to an end at some point. Trae Young makes a lot of sense next to Anthony Davis.
It's true. He's only Trae Young's only 26, I want to say.
He's young.
He's a lot more young.
He's had some big playoff moments. Obviously, he's a ball handler that would take the load off LeBron, would allow LeBron to sit. A Trae Young, Anthony Davis pick and roll would be a lot of alley-oops. I mean, we just talked about how many dunks Clint Capella has.
Yeah.
Anthony Davis, an even better role guy than him. So I think it makes sense from both sides, but trading Trae Young is a big move for the Hawks because he's been the figurehead here. He's been the face of the franchise for a long time. And he's still a beloved player, at least in my household. So I don't want to see him go, but you would understand if the Hawks decided to make a move.
You would, and if Reeves is sort of the key piece, a bunch of draft capital, contracts to make it work that are either rerouted for more talent or something like that. As for the Lakers, I mean, this is no surprise. Like, of course they're in the game for another star, a third star. Even at the deadline, when it came and went and the Lakers really didn't do anything, Pelinka was like basically coming out saying, we're making a much bigger and impactful movement potentially in June and July. The picks that would get unlocked to throw into a deal to get more of a player at Trae's caliber. That's what the thinking was, right? They just didn't have a lot of draft capital to like throw out there at the deadline. So, yeah, fascinating. Would you do it if, okay, how do I put this? If it's Reeves, if it's Rui, let's say contract-wise, if it's 3 first-round picks, future first-round picks, of course, you're doing that if you're the Lakers for Trae Young? Or are you like, look what we've uncovered in Reeves. Look at the deal he's on. Rui's at times looks great. Keep our picks because, LeBron will eventually be gone. That's a tough decision. But would you do it if you were Pelinka? If that was a potential framework of a deal?
I probably would.
Yeah.
I probably would do it. I mean, you can question building around a 40-year-old guy. That's what they're doing with LeBron, but also it's LeBron. Him and AD have been great this season. They've been very available. It hasn't made a huge difference for the Lakers. They're still stuck in the 9th seed in the play-in tournament again, back-to-back years. So they obviously need a little bit more help. Reeves is awesome, and I think the team fits very well around LeBron and AD. But they're trying to win a title. They're trying to get another one, and they got to probably just up their quotient a little bit, though. We're seeing big threes come up short quite often. So I don't know if maybe a big 2 with a lot of perfect fitting role guys is better. It probably is, but some teams like stars.
And as Buha said, Trae's been to Laker playoff games before. He's a Clutch Sports client, so there's the whole Rich Paul angle of it all, whether you believe that or that
so's
matters.
Zach LaVine.
Yeah,
so's DeJounte Murray.
That's true. They all are, aren't they?
So's Eric Bledsoe.
All right, so 4-1 says, I guess, Trae Duel. Or Draft Trae, or Bet Trae.
Draft Curbs.
Yeah, Draft Curbs. There you go. If you want a free promo code, go to put in Trey Kirby at DraftCurbs.com.
Yeah, put it in, see what happens.
Okay, final one here. Fill in the blank. just pivoting back to the Timberwolves ownership mess. I know you had a chance to read the great article on The Athletic, John Krasinski, Sham Charania, sort of a little more detail on behind the scenes between current owner Glenn Taylor and obviously Rodriguez and Lore, who are trying to get it from him. And there's now this standstill. I don't know, we're going to go to arbitration, mediation, all that. But what was your biggest takeaway from the T-Wolves ownership drama from that article specifically? Fill in that blank. What was it?
This is a Bubba Sparks song. It's gonna get ugly. I felt like I
forgot about that song.
Absolute classic of the genre. I think it's Timbaland.
Yeah,
great song.
I think
great
so.
song. But you've got literal billionaires and A-Rod going on record with John Krasinski, going on podcasts. Like, these guys are on all kinds of podcasts right now. And I feel like the ref in that clip from boxing, where he's like, ooh, look at all these hits they're taking. You don't see guys like this go on record all that often to talk trash about each other. You basically got Glenn Taylor calling Mark Lore and Alex Rodriguez broke. And then on the other side, they're like, this guy just welched on his deal.
Yeah. They're like, he's got seller's remorse.
He's got
the sticker price he had on this team 2 years ago, he's like, oh, God, I can make double that.
I can make a lot more money.
Not to mention, obviously, expansion coming down the pipeline, which is just money right into the current owner's pockets.
That's right.
And that's what they're saying. They're like, no, okay, hold on. We were having some issues getting our money right, but we got it, man. And you're just suddenly saying, no, I don't want to do it anymore. You're not giving us the extension, obviously moving forward. And he's saying, he's saying the opposite. Hey, a deal's a deal. You didn't come through with that $300 million or whatever it was at this next juncture. So we're done. You don't even have the cash to buy this team. Weird, but a fascinating article.
That's awesome.
With, you're right, the shots being thrown at each other. And they are doing this very publicly. And you could tell they're like trying to like get sort of, the public's support, really, from one side or the other. Now, Glenn Taylor, with Wolves fans, I mean, I feel like they want him gone regardless.
I know, it's that's the main takeaway I have, is I feel so bad for Wolves fans. They're having their best season since Kevin Garnett was in town. And as the couple of weeks before we get to the playoffs, they're having to deal with all of this drama hanging over the team because on one hand, you got Glenn Taylor, who Timberwolves fans have been ready to see go.
Yeah.
And then on the other hand, you got a team that's coming in, even if they've got the money to buy the team, clearly they're struggling to get the financing for it. And that's got to give you pause. If you're a Timberwolves fan, these guys can hardly afford to buy the team. Right. How are they going to be able to pay for the team going forward? I think that's a huge question mark. So it's just put so much pressure, I think, on the team this year. They probably don't care because they're cashing their checks regardless. Right? Like, they're going to be getting paid regardless, but it is still something you got to worry about because if the Timberwolves draw the wrong matchup, maybe Towns doesn't look great in the playoffs coming back from injury, and they lose in the first round, that's a super disappointment. Yeah. And then you're thinking, is this team going to get broken up because the tax bill gets crazy expensive coming this summer with Edwards' extension kicking in? Towns has a chance to get a raise as well. They got to pay Kyle Anderson because he's pretty important for this team. Like, it feels like the Timberwolves are going to have to lose somebody going forward. Maybe it's Towns, maybe it's McDaniels, maybe it's Anderson, all guys that have been important for this version of the team. It just really sucks that they're having to deal with this as we're going into perhaps their best chance of making a conference finals in 20 years.
In a very long time. And the article here starts with this idea of like the new owners, I say that as at Rodriguez and Lore, potential new owners, them like building a private owner suite sort of in the arena, and Glenn Taylor going, what are we doing? Why are we wasting money on that? And they're like, well, what do you mean? This is, where we would have big meetings with, potential whatever, like heavy hitters, right? But he sees it, Glenn Taylor, as maybe more of a vanity project, and it's a complete waste. I mean, it's like he's old school. This guy's 80 plus years old. Yeah. By all accounts, he wants to do business over hamburgers. That's all I read. He always wants to do business over hamburgers. And then you got these, this new sort of younger idea of ownership in Lore and Rodriguez coming in here. And what appeared to be a great deal at first, because Taylor did pick them too. This the idea of like keep them in Minnesota and all that has sort of come head to head. At least that's what we're led to believe. So, all right, fill in the blank, guys, with all four of those. We're going to take one more quick break. When we come back, we got to talk a little bit about the Women's March Madness in Tweet of the Night. Don't go anywhere.
If only starting your fitness journey was as easy as starting this podcast, that would make me so happy. The truth is, all the lift big, get big, and beach body ready in 3 weeks pressure stops most of us from even starting. And starting is what matters most. It's everything, really. It really is. Wherever you're beginning and wherever you want to be, Peloton encourages you to just start. With thousands of classes to get you moving and doing what you can. If that's a 10-minute low-impact class, they got those. And when you're ready, take it up a gear. A 30-minute live DJ ride. DJ John Michael, that guy plays the hits. He always gets me going. Start with Peloton and find instructors that will keep you motivated to stay on your fitness journey. Learn the basics and build from there. Remember, doing something is everything. Get started with a Peloton bike or Bike Plus rental at onepeloton.com/bike/rentals. onepeloton.com/bike/rentals. Terms apply.
You think just because we hit 100,000 subs on YouTube that I'm going to stop telling you to smash the like button, to subscribe, to share the show with your family and friends? You think I'm going to stop doing that? No, we're going to the moon, baby. 500,000 apparently is the next goal. 500,000. So keep doing your part. Let's get to Tweet of the Night.
Tweet of the night. Wow.
Twitter.
Tweet of the night comes to us from Jason Gallagher, who, like a lot of us, was watching the women's NCAA tournament, Elite 8 last night, in particular, Iowa versus LSU.
What a game.
Jason tweeted that Caitlin Clark has been welcomed to the Hoop Shrug Hall of Fame, joining Michael Jordan in the 1992 NBA Finals. Kobe Bryant, I think this is a game against the Grizzlies.
Yeah, I think so.
Michael Jordan, security guard with the Bulls, after beating him in a game of roll the quarter at the wall in The Last Dance.
Legendary.
And then Haley Van Lith trying to guard Caitlin Clark. I don't remember which number 3 this was for Caitlin Clark. She hit 9 of them. This one was from deep on the right wing. She kind of crossed over Haley Van Lith, pulled it deep, and knocked it down. This is the only shrug we're seeing from the defense.
Yeah.
Like the what am I doing? What can I do? Sort of shrug.
Angel Reese also did it in this game last night. Like, it wasn't as maybe shruggy as Haley's there, but it was more like,
the camera.
It was like, what do you want me to do about that?
What are you supposed to do about it? 41 points, 12 assists, 9 threes. I don't know how many outlet passes, but they showed one that was a 55-foot outlet pass. That was sick. This was an incredible game to watch. I wish Angel Reese wouldn't have turned her ankle.
Yeah.
She was really putting it together in the first half, and then I thought also a tough charge call for her 5th foul, though.
Yes.
I think the game may have been out of hand at that point.
Yeah, I hated the timing of the ankle roll, too. I was saying this to Nora because we were watching the game. I was like, you don't want to roll the ankle right before the half.
Exactly right.
Because that adrenaline is going to go down a little bit as you go into the locker room, and that pain might, come back and hurt a little bit more. I know you get the idea of like, oh, well, what do you mean? They get to look at it, they get to tape it up. I mean, I don't know. The adrenaline takes you through. The way she was playing too, through the first part of that game was unreal. That to me, that was the boxer going, ooh,
yeah,
ooh, they were just trading haymakers. The pace of the game was unreal. It was just nuts.
They were flying, man.
That was so fun. It maintained, it wasn't maybe as fun as the lead built for Iowa, but yeah, when she came out, Clarkin was splashing threes there to start the second half. I was like, oh my God, what do you do? What do you do? How can you not shrug? I mean, I know they could have put
quarter. Is that right?
I think so.
Might have been, yeah.
A lot of talk of Coach Mulkey like switch up the defense. Like I almost start feeling bad for Haley. I'm like, come on, run a second person at her. Excuse me. Put Johnson on. Like, switch it up.
I liked what I saw from Flau'jae Johnson.
Yeah,
I like that. I thought she probably should have been trying to guard Caitlin at least a little bit more. They tried Poa in the first half. Yeah. She was competitive, more size and length, but it just was a matter of time before Clark got untracked. That was awesome. Great game. And then Paige versus Juju, a fun nightcap, but after watching Iowa LSU, it felt like going from the playoffs back to the regular season. You're like, oh, wait, they're not like fighting each other. There was like 1,000 kick balls in Iowa LSU. I couldn't believe that.
Yeah.
The defense was awesome. People were falling down. And then I guess we got Iowa versus UConn coming up next. So Paige versus Caitlin Clark. I don't know if they guard each other. I guess they're similar size.
Yeah. Well, that was the other part like that game. It was like, hold on, this is the Elite Eight. This is like not the championship of last year between these two teams. Not even the Final Four match. We've got, I guess 3 more games in both the men's and women's here. So pretty incredible that next weekend we've got those games, March Madness. We've also got, one of the last regular season weekends for the NBA WrestleMania.
Oh, baby.
Also on the weekend. I'm going to be in Vegas for all this. I got a race in Vegas this weekend. I'm definitely. I know, like on WrestleMania, I'm gonna have to. That's just gonna have to wait. I have to watch that later. But I'm excited to watch maybe some of these games at the old sports book there. Lay a little coin at fankirby.com.
Yeah, I opened a sport. We only got one bet on the board, though.
just
the Trae Young bet. You want to take it, yes or no? That's all we got.
I'll put some money on it while I'm there. I'll make sure to document it. But yeah, great games there, and hopefully, the Final Fours in both the men's and women's can live up to that game last night, because holy crap, that was fun. But nice to have a defensive player in the Shrug Hall of Fame.
Yeah, it's great.
As Gallagher wrote.
Oh, that must have been infuriating, man. Like, the smallest bit of space she was pulling.
Yeah.
I mean, she missed a lot of them. She takes a lot of them.
She does.
Absolutely. But when they go in, it just feels like absolutely crushing.
That's my biggest takeaway. As weird as this is going to sound, Clark goes for 41 points, right? 12 assists, hit 9 threes. And I'm like, she didn't even have a great game. Like, she can play way better. And they talked about it on the broadcast, like, kudos to them. Like, first off, once she adds like a little floater or a little jump around the free throw line, because she gets there all the time. Yeah. That's the one spot on the floor where she like seems to like, struggle a little bit with decision making. A couple other passes she probably forced, but it's like, oh my God, like she has other levels here. Obviously, she's super young. She has more games here in the rest of her collegiate career, and then WNBA. It's like, it's pretty damn fun. What a time for women's basketball. Good stuff. Glad we got that in there. Let's call it there. We will be back tomorrow. There's lots of games on tonight in the NBA world, so we'll break those down, break down the latest news. Maybe hit the beach. Get your questions in, nodunks@theathletic.com. You can tweet them in @nodunksink. Wonder if Tass has hit a beach yet on his cruise. I mean, I've never been on a cruise, but from what I can tell, these cruises, what do they go when they dock and you're let off for a half a day or a day, and then you can
I think
come
so.
back? Yeah.
I too have.
Excursions.
I've never been on a cruise either.
Yeah.
I've always said if I go on a cruise, I'm never getting off that
Never
boat.
leave the boat.
Just never leave. Just everybody leaves, and then you got the boat to yourself. That's what in my mind.
There's probably about 80% of the boat thinking the exact same way.
Well, I've been to St. Martin, and I've watched the people line up to get back on the boat.
Yeah.
And it just looks like this is your vacation, lining up on a pier to get back on a boat.
My gut says very little leaving of the boat from the Mellis family.
I think you're right. Yeah.
Just because of these reasons. Like,
it's also a short cruise, right?
Yeah, it's pretty short, yeah.
All right. Oh, there's the Bahamas right there from the deck. Yep. Hi, Bahamas.
Okay, so maybe the only beach step in Tass will even do this week is if we do it here on the show.
All right, we're putting another bet on the board.
Okay.
I think minus 115 they go to a beach.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's
I think
pretty,
it's a favorite.
You think so?
A lot of cruise lines like own a private beach.
Yeah,
that's
true. True. It's like, just get off. It's right there. Yeah, and like, you do want to get off the boat. I mean, I would. I don't ever want to be on the boat.
Right. Yeah, there is that. that. Change of scenery and stuff.
This is exciting. I'm going to say still no.
Okay, no beach. Okay,
I'm leaning yes, only because his in-laws are with him. And they do stuff.
They do stuff. See, I wanted to tweak it. Will the entire family get off the boat? Or will always somebody be on that boat from the Mellis crew?
Oh.
Now that's a bet I got to see on the board at fankirby.com. I cannot wait. Okay, we'll find out. Anyway, we'll find out if we hit the beach tomorrow on our show. Get your questions in. If they're good, we'll do it. Until then, Clipper Bros.
You heard it here first. Have a great time. Turn up. Love you guys. Awesome.
Thanks for joining us. And remember, today is Taco Tuesday. In my household, the favorite for the protein that's going in the tacos today is fish sticks at 2-1.
Wow.
Bet the fish sticks.
Wow. 2-1. Pretty good odds.
Yeah, I know. I got an inside source. This one's good.
Oh.
Not to go Otani mode on you. But.
Yeah, Jonte Porter over here. Embrace the name, people.